Good Friday morning. Wake up, Charlotte, to go on a very quiet morning.
Yes.
Very quiet Friday morning. Whole different situation later today.
Yeah, when you see us two, we're usually talking about some sort of inclement weather. Sometimes on Fridays we just talk about weather because. This time is a big because of what's happening late afternoon heading into the evening across our area.
Yeah, let's take a look and show you what's happening at the moment. We try to show you the radar. Just a little bit very light rain at the moment. The heaviest rain, the storms are over towards the Mid-South. Now, about an hour ago, that tornado watch was much farther south and did not go much farther east than Memphis. It's been extended eastward towards almost middle Tennessee and northwestern Alabama. That's a tornado watch.
Yeah, and what's going to happen is that watch will likely be expanded off towards the east, so that'll be the eastern side of Tennessee, and then even I think the western side of North Carolina will be under that at one point too.
Right now, showing heavy rain and storms from Missouri all the way down to the Mid-South, including Tennessee, Arkansas, Louisiana. They've had a lot of tornado warnings, but one of the things they've had, Chris, you've seen this too, is the amount of heavy rain they've had. They've had flooding rains down there, as much as 5 inches of rain in some spots this morning in Arkansas.
And the big reason why is one of two directions. Sometimes you have that little comma cloud where it's just rain that's bending back for hours, but then also some very heavy rain as everything's moving from southwest to northeast. That's training storms one after another that dumped a lot of rain in some locations.
So what's happened, and you can see the area of red back to the left side of your screen there, that's up into areas near Knoxville, Oak Ridge, all the way to Chattanooga. That is the severe weather risk today in those areas, Tennessee and Alabama.
Don't like to see it.
No, when it's red, that does indicate that's strong storms, and that definitely means potential for spin-up tornadoes. And what's interesting, and you know this, Chris, from the time you've done weather here, is that when you see the medium threat, it normally is east.
Yes.
This is west of Charlotte.
So, and it's all about the timing. So the reason why you're seeing this is the prime time for best atmospheric conditions for all this stuff is during the afternoon. That's where you have that peak heating. So the further you get into the evening for the line of storms, the weaker this line is going to become. So that's why you have the western side of the Carolinas under a medium threat. Pretty much roughly once you pass I-77-ish, that's where it gets much weaker because you're a couple hours into the evening.
I don't like to see that medium threat because that does indicate some strong storms and very high winds, and there's a wind advisory. Now, there are some areas that are not within this advisory, but I would say, if you live up in areas around Love Valley, Statesville, then you're included. That wind advisory does mean some very gusty winds later today, Chris, and it includes Charlotte all the way to the mountains.
Yeah, and I was trying to wrap my brain around why they're doing this. Because, one, you also have the mountains that, of course, higher elevations, less friction, so that leads to more winds.
Yeah.
I think what they're representing here is that the further south you go is also going to be a little bit more unstable. That's going to pick the storm maybe line up a little bit more, so it might have stronger winds as well. But the wind advisory is a lot of non-thunderstorm winds, because this cold front, when it squeezes in, it's picking everything up, especially for the mountains.
Yes, and that does include later this evening through tomorrow morning. They changed that to a high wind warning in the mountains. Once you get up towards elevations from Boone, Jefferson, West Jefferson, all the way down to Mitchell County, those areas could see winds gusting over 50 miles per hour, maybe sustained winds over 30.
Yeah, and even the wind advisory, we could have a gust up to about 40 plus.
Yeah.
So that's pretty substantial. Also, with any of the rain that we've gotten some saturation. You know how it works with some of those shallow trees? Without thunderstorms, some of those could topple today.
That's a major concern. As we take a look at Futurecast, we take you to late this afternoon around 4 o'clock. They start tracking in from the over towards the Great Smoky Mountains, and then look at that line right there. That's around 5 o'clock today, Chris. The line of strong storms.
Ooh, yeah, and I don't like the breaks there, because oftentimes that means the breaks, you might have a kink in the line, and that's where you could have the spin-up tornadoes on the southern ends often of those little lines of storms.
Look at that. This is around 7 o'clock. That's why we're seeing the time frame is about 6 to 9 o'clock, and that's folks who have got the late commutes home or are heading up to Salisbury, to Charlotte, down into the upstate of South Carolina. That's a line of heavy rain, strong storms, and gusty winds at the same time, Chris.
Well, look at that. Yeah, and also I'm going to let you know the impacts on the leading edge of this. This system's really going to start to rapidly accelerate, because oftentimes when you have the stronger winds, notice how it gets weaker as it moves off towards the east? Yeah, so that's also the thing. I think the main thing we have to take away from here is every hour that you're waiting on the storms is good news for you. So we want this thing to come as late as possible, because if it comes earlier, accelerates, that's going to be a better unstable window. But regardless, if you live west of I-77, you have to be most weather aware out of anyone.
Now, speaking of that, I've kind of put one specific time frame, but just to give you an idea, this evening around 7 o'clock, we're talking about tropical storm force winds in places like Monroe
Wow.
and Lancaster and Chester and South Carolina, even the Charlotte area, winds gusting over 30 miles an hour. Those are damaging winds over 40 miles
for
an
sure.
hour winds right there. That's could do a lot of damage.
Yeah, down tree limbs of the larger variety with that. As we mentioned, some shallow-rooted trees that the roots only go down about 8 inches to 12. Those are the ones that could topple over. I definitely think we're going to have some wind damage reports from this, from maybe thunderstorms or not.
Mm-hmm. And that's this afternoon right through the evening. Winds over 35 miles an hour. And we're talking about tornado chances, and I can't remember the last time I saw it. This, once again, west of here,
yes.
When you get a 5% within 25 miles of any point, it doesn't look like a high percentage, but anytime you get anything over 2%, that's significant.
Yeah, because think about it, your day-to-day chances of a tornado are near 0 to 0
right.
every day. So whenever you see those numbers go up to 2, 5, 10%, that catches our attention and should catch your attention as well.
Definitely, without a doubt. So the potential is certainly there.
Ooh, this is what Larry's talking about, these numbers.
Yes, these numbers. I mean, when you say, I can't remember the last time a 4.7 in west of the Charlotte area. Most of the time, it's in the eastern part of the state or even here, but that's concerning right there when you see that.
Plain and simple, what you're seeing here is anytime it's at a 0.1, there's rotation potentially in the atmosphere. This means the atmosphere is going to be twisting.
Yeah.
That means every storm will have a tag, if you get a severe thunderstorm warning, that it could possibly produce a tornado on the bookends of a storm or right along the line. So this is classic spin-up tornado territory. That's why today especially is weather aware.
And that's at 7 o'clock tonight. Then by late this evening, it's gone and out of here. I think the main threat, and we've been showing the graphics there about these windy conditions, that's winds, even in the Charlotte area, gusting over 35 miles an hour. Something to think about, because it doesn't take a tornado to cause wind damage.
No, not especially
severe
here.
thunderstorm could do that, and especially right here, like you were talking about the trees. You know, the soil loosened like that. Some of these larger trees, even in the Charlotte area, could be going down in these gusty winds.
And not to be the morbid side of things, but most fatalities from these type of events are from down trees, fallen trees, onto houses as people are out and about driving even. So just be especially aware. So let's narrow the window down, Larry, for people. For that line, the models are kind of fluctuating by an hour or two, but pretty much it looks like the Charlotte area 485 between about 6 and 8 o'clock. Yeah. It kind of looks to be the sweet zone that line's moving through.
Exactly. Something to think about if you have plans this evening. And there it is right there. You can see it on that graphic, our time frame. That's 6 and 8 o'clock. That's definitely the storm starts to track across the area. And between about 7 and 8 o'clock, could be right here in the Charlotte area, right on top of us at that time.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting line. The impacts along the line, though, any damage that we see is probably going to happen within minutes. This is not going to be a long event, so it probably is just going to rush in all at once. You'll have the rain slowly taper off behind that, and then we're done and we're setting up for the weekend.
The weekend, not bad.
Woo, there it is.
You go, what a dramatic change. Not a cloud in the sky, light winds, and great temperature. We talk about mid-60s in this time of the year. You can't complain about that. So we're looking forward to a nice-looking weekend. That Guy Roofing forecast shows Sunday even warmer on Sunday. I didn't put the extended on here, but you go from 77 Tuesday to that 58 on Thursday. Beyond that, it's even colder.
That's a mean trick, because February was so warm, starting off March, but we mentioned this earlier. March is a wicked month.
It is.
You don't know what you're going to expect.
It's very fickle.
Yes, you pretty much squeeze an alteration between spring and winter all the time. So
within days.
So don't put away the warmer clothes just yet. It's going to do a lot of up in this.
All right, that's Wake Up Charlotte to go. Have a great weekend, and we're here throughout the day. Chris is here, our midday show, and then I think KJ's here during the afternoon.
Yes, he is.
The whole team is here throughout the day, so have a great weekend. See you Monday.
Take care.